Welcome to Living Truth. I am Angela James. Together with John Usher, we invite you to dialogues designed to awaken you to truth, enlighten you to who you are, and to invite you to live a reality that you want.
So what got you so excited about watching me do the 100-day challenge that you put your hand up and said, that's my turn?
So first off is FOMO. I cannot be left out of anything. The fear of missing out.
Yeah.
Not so much today anymore, but it definitely used to be something that would be one of the things that would drive me in terms of motivation. And that goes to a whole lot of other stuff that we're layering in with the work that we're doing. And that's coming from the need to see and be. I mean, it wasn't a case of using you and what you were doing because we've had a great affinity all the way along on the line. But it was, very definitely I'd get myself into a position with many things where the fear of missing out would be the motivation because it was underpinned and under what underlay that was the need to feel and be seen and significant. So, I mean, that's going to take us on a whole nother conversation, which is not relevant for today, but it will come out of the 100-day challenge anyway. So that was the initial kind of motivation. What ran up to that was the previous year when we'd done, that was 2019, I think it was. I can't remember, 2018, 2019, can't remember which year it was. The year of the Nelson Mandela Centenary. I had connected to a community radio station, and we had been doing some interviews on radio. So I came in with already a set of experiences that I'd had. I can't remember how many interviews we did that year, but it was all linked to the Mandela Centenary and the Choices board game that I had created. And we customized the version specifically for that particular event. What had happened in the interim was I'd been doing a whole lot of research and come across things linking to responsible citizenship. And at no point had I had any level of mastery. I just jumped in where angels fear to tread, as I normally do, going, okay, I'm going to run one and I'm going to do 100 interviews. It was my birthday, actually. It was the day of my birthday, the 2nd of September.
Correct.
So I jumped in my car, went up to the radio station, pitched to them because they were just up the road from me, pitched to them that we'd do 100 interviews in 100 days. The station master took it to the station owner. He loved the idea and came back and said, no, we don't want you to do 100 interviews in 100 days. We want you to do 100 interviews in 50 days. I'm going, are you freaking kidding me? Well, yeah, it ended up being 114 interviews in 60 days. And that was morning and afternoon. So in the morning and afternoon drive shows, we were on for about a half an hour. It was bedlam because not only was it all of the interviews themselves, it was finding the guests it was doing memes, it was creating a profile for each of the guests on the show. In amongst all of that, the content for responsible citizenship and the themes that came out evolved as a part of the process as well. I mean, the first 30 days was just absolute. I mean, you were part of that. I think I interviewed you twice that particular day. Or those particular days in those first 30 days, linking to responsible citizenship and leadership and the work that you've been doing. So you can comment. I mean, it was the first 30 days were absolute bedlam.
And it's not just the skills of the interviewing that you developed a mastery of. It was all of the memes. It was all of the marketing that went around it. And this is the other thing about the 100-day challenge is you're going to be very specific about the task that you choose, but there's a whole load of B echelon supporting roles or skills that need to be
mastered. Elements, because otherwise, why are you doing it? I mean, exactly. I know you had a lady who did it was selling Tupperware. It was, I know you've coached some people through that, and this is the point is that, I mean, when we're talking about launching the 100-day challenge as a product, it's not about you can do it on your own if you've got the wherewithal and discipline to do it on your own. 100%. You can, like John did. I mean, I'm still hooked into John. I'm like the raving fan of 100-day challenges, but you can do it on your own. It's so much better when you're doing it with the person who's not only created it, but those of us who've had experience of it guiding us through. So I know that there are a number of people that you've done 100-day challenges with. Some have seen them all the way through to the end. Some have given up because it's just too hard work for them, or whatever the case might be.
Yeah. No, I've had a lot of people give up because they were not necessarily committed to that specific outcome, and they selected an
Wrong.
outcome which was not
Incorrect.
in line with who they were and not in line with their visions. And if you're going to do that, it becomes a consuming
It's the
process for
it's
100
the
days.
boulder up the it's pushing that boulder up the hill, and
It is
it's not
pushing
in
boulder
flow.
uphill.
It's not in flow. It's not natural.
I
And
have
I
one
think
gent
that's
that
one of. Sorry, carry on.
I have one gent that started a 100-day challenge. I think he's 350 odd days ago, where he just taking time to meditate and do some reading for himself. And he stopped his 100-day challenge, or his 100-day challenge lapsed a long time ago. But it's so set a process for him, a way of life for him. It's continuing. So he's
No,
now
it's
not
good.
officially counting anymore, but it set that habit running in his life. And this is the thing when we talk about success. Success is a collection of habits. So you pick habits that are going to generate the success for the vision that you have. And it's in that repetition, and it's not just about repeating them, it's about repeating them in excellence. It's not just
Yeah.
about going fishing. It's about going fishing at a grade. When I was hanging
So
out with these guys that were doing competition fishing, they were like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you just started fishing." I was like, "Yeah, well, at that stage, 80 days ago, I started fishing 80 days ago." And they're like, "Your skills are just out of this world." And it's not just about repeating the habits; it's about seeking the excellence in that.
And this is the
'Cause-
difference between a 21-dayer, let's do all, everybody posts up on Facebook and social media, let's
Yeah.
do a 21-dayer
21
versus
days.
21 days. It doesn't take 21 days to master. You might change a habit, but normally it'll kind of go up. The vitamin shot goes in. Oh, yeah, I did it for 21 days, and then it peters off. There's something that I want to raise, though, and that is the difference between doing a 100-day challenge where it is only you and the challenge versus a 100-day challenge that involves other people.
And this is the thing, in particular, your challenge now that you're doing with 100 readings in 100 days. And the where I was fishing, the responsibility was on me. So for me to show up, for me to go where the fishing was and do the fishing, it's completely my responsibility. What you are doing is you're actually asking somebody else to be involved in the process. And you're not just asking one people, you're asking 100 people. Which is, I mean, the skill that you are mastering is now not just about the reading, excuse me, not just about the readings, but it's also about the marketing and the engaging people, the selling of those 100 days. Now you are relying on the input. 50% of your success is based on how people respond to your marketing. So your challenge is a double-edged sword. You are doing
Never do it the easy way. Hey, I've
never pick the easy way. Let's just
So note
find
to
the
those who are
techniques.
watching for your very first. I mean, both my first challenge and this one also involved other people. So note to those who are going to embark on a journey of doing a 100-day challenge. Note to self: do not pick other people to be a part of your first 100-day challenge, because it introduces a whole nother layer of complexity into what we actually do.
But that
But it's
complexity
also, I have
will
to say
also
though,
give you a whole new level of mastery. It's a whole
I have to
different level.
say though, John, it's in line with my truth. It's in line with who I am, in the sense that
Yes.
my focus on people has always been. I mean, I'm so people centric. So for me to do something on my own, sure, I could write, I can put up 100 memes on Facebook, and I can do all those kinds of things that we can do. But because my vision is so tied to empowering people, both challenges have been. I'm not finished the second one, but a lot more successful. The ones that I'm likely to try on my own, some of those are ones that I had to actually stop because it wasn't aligned with my vision. And I think that's part of the importance and the significance of being successful through a 100-day challenge, is that alignment is there, correct?
And my advice to you when you did this is don't look for 100 readings. because 50% of the responsibility is actually aligned with engagement with others, half the numbers. So if you do 50 in 100 days, then I think you have done exceptionally well. It's also the same with a lady with a Tupperware. Her aim was to recruit 100 people in 100 days. And I was like, yo, you're putting out something there where, again, you're relying on the input of others. If you get 20 people in 100 days, you're actually doing very well. So you've got to really. I had one guy, his challenge in his business was he wanted his secretary to put out 100 invoices in 100 days. And I'm like, no. That's her challenge. That's not your challenge. That 100% of that challenge was reliant on somebody else. That's not a challenge. There's no developing mastery in that. None whatsoever. You've got to have.
So this is an important point, because this is about you personally putting a stake in the ground around your truth, around a challenge that's going to support you moving towards your truth. It's not something that can be delegated to other people. Your own personal
and you
challenge.
Want to become the subject matter expert.
Absolutely. You can use it as a mechanism. Managers and leaders can use it as a mechanism for an incentive scheme or whatever they want to do with their staff members. But it still becomes a personal challenge that you actually have to act on and implement. It can't be delegated to somebody else.
Can't be delegated to somebody else. There's no mastery in that.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe the mastery is delegation.
You have to master to 100 people to get a sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so get 100 secretaries and let each of them do 100 invoices. Now you're talking a real challenge. That's and even then, you're not going to get 1,000 invoices. You'll be lucky if you get 100 in 100 days. So come on. You've got to have the responsibility. It is about you developing your mastery. And the thing with it is that momentum will push you in a direction. You got to make sure it aligns with where you want to go. And this is what you were saying just now about some of the challenges you had picked up for yourself and let go because it wasn't necessarily aligned to where you wanted to go.
Or who I was, or even who I was. Yeah. And importantly, who I was, which brings up the conversation of identity as well that we've been talking a lot about, is that your challenge also needs to align with your identity, with your purpose, with your vision, and with, for me, your soul code. So if that alignment is not there, the likelihood of you completing a challenge is much less than if that alignment is there. So I'm going to bounce that back to you because then you can ask me about that.
Yes. Okay. So tell us about that. Tell us how alignment has worked for you. And in particular, the access consciousness challenge that we're doing in terms of raising our own consciousness. How has that aligned?
So I think that there's a couple of things. Yeah, there's a couple of things because John and I are running actually probably not one but two. We parallel process 100-day challenges in the background. It's nothing
because we like beating ourselves to death. Nothing like a real challenge in life.
Well, I can't tell you. I mean, I can't speak for you, but I haven't had as much fun for a long time in terms of what's actually going on behind the scenes here. So I'm going to answer the question in two ways. First off, is that number one for me is, and this is a critical component to the success of a 100-day challenge, is that it needs to be aligned with who you are and who you are in your truth. Otherwise, it's too easy to give up. It's too easy to come up with excuses.
Way too
and to not follow through the commitment that you make to yourself. And in so doing, whenever we don't honor a commitment to ourselves, we always feel yucky. We always feel less than. We always kind of, it starts to erode our self-confidence and self-worth, and that negative mind motor starts happening. You can see how all of these words that we're dropping into our conversations are now starting to hook in and link together. So crucial to the success and the building of confidence, which underpins mastery, is selecting a challenge that's going to be in alignment with who you are and in your truth. So when we go back to rise and standing in your truth, understanding what your code is in terms of birth date, name, all of those things, passions, talents, gifts, it's the underpinning probably kind of the process objective is for you to be able to utilize your gifts and talents in the expression of the challenge, particularly when you're not confident in your gifts and talents, because that will take you more and more to being in alignment with who you are, with who you truly are. And so one of the things, and this is how the work that I do and the work that John do is starting to click into place, we had the aha yesterday, was that for people to do a 100-day challenge, we are certainly recommending very strongly and highly that people go through a part of a process called I'm Powered Purpose. The I'm part of the name I'm Powered Purpose, purpose links you to the I am, your own I am, and that is your truth. Your I am holds the space of what your truth is. So when you're coming up with a 100-day challenge, there's the spirit coming into matter. Your spirit through the I am gets grounded into the process of the 100-day challenge. So part of what John and I are putting together is the introduction, or the initial workshop will be around bringing in Powered Purpose and the 100-day challenge into a point. It's kind of the pre-planning, not the complete bit, but at least selecting the right kind of challenge that is going to be able to motivate you. It's too easy to give up if it's not. It's a waste of time and energy.
Absolutely. I want to emphasize, don't ask me to engage with you on a 100-day challenge as a way of finding your purpose. It's not going to help you find your purpose. This is to establish your purpose. So you go and you talk to Angela and allow Angela to help you discover that purpose. And then you do the 100-day challenge as a way of cementing it and creating momentum, influence, clarity, and focus.
So I want to ask you. I want to ask you. I think we redid your purpose. What, about 6 months ago? I think 3-4 months ago, where you went through the process again.
No, November.
How much clarity did you come out with as a result of refocusing on that? Because obviously there's a lot of growth and learning that's happened from the first time that you did it to where you are now.
Yeah. So a lot of this, yes. So it was a redo, and I think just with life in general, we get caught up in the distractions. So all of the stuff was there, and I was maybe on an unconscious level aware, and it was very good for me to redo that process, to reawaken, because it was suddenly like, I feel like I'm banging my head. I'm going down this path and I'm banging my head against a brick wall, and the doors don't want to seem to open, and I can't kick my way through the wall and all the rest of it. And it was doing that exercise with you just to, realize, hold on, these are the identities. This is the purpose. I'm moving in, not completely. Maybe the general direction was right, but in terms of the specific direction, not right. So
that goes back to, sorry, I just have to interject again. So, and I don't always mean to be rude. It's just that join the dots very quickly, because John talks about general vision and specific vision. So your general vision was there, and it has been there all along. What it helped you to do was to get really specific and very clear around what your actual manifestation of your purpose in this world looks like. Would you say that that's a fair comment?
Absolutely. And it's also opened the door to that pathway of clarity. Now that I've started on that journey, it's pointed me in the right direction. And now that I'm moving in that direction, I'm getting more and more clarity every day. And again, in conjunction with our own 100-day challenges, for myself, we sharing in one in terms of a better consciousness, and the stuff that's come out of that over, where are we in 38 days or something, 40 days?
Yeah, roundabout. We're almost there. Yeah, almost. Yeah, it's incredible.
Just what's popped out of the woodwork, and the change that's happened, and the refining that's happened, the clarity that's happened. It is quite something else.
And that's been both on an individual level for each one of us, as well as coming together. Living Truth has actually been born out of the first 30 days of the challenge that we've started to come together. So, it's staggering. And then again, it kicks in the sacred geometry of the Fibonacci numbers, because now it's not just one person doing it on their own. Now you've got two people doing it together. Now you can start to add up the momentum that starts happening when it's not just one person. So to speak to that challenge, what John and I have committed to do, and we do this we've got challenges within challenges. But what we've committed to do, the current challenge, is to connect with each other every day for 100 days on some development input that we have identified and secured for ourselves that is going to support us in the momentum that we are building in the work that we're taking out into the world. Would you say that that's a fair kind of overarching, more generalized vision, which is becoming much more specific as we speak?
Yep.
And the start of that was a great gratitude to the guys who've done such amazing work with Access Consciousness. That was a piece of string that was given to me by my very good friend Tracy Knight last year. I'd actually heard about Access Consciousness before. I've had my bars run a couple of times. Michelle Vincent works with it as well. So Tracy, I was going through a torrid time, as most people know, last year. And Tracy started distance healing. So she's in Maritzburg and I'm here in Joburg. Distance healing with Access Bars. And that started to shift some stuff for me. And then I got curious because she'd sent me a couple of podcasts to listen to, and I got really curious. So John and I have spent, the first 34 days, I think it was, every single day listening to a podcast from either Shannon O'Hara, Dane Hero, or Gary Douglas for the first 34 days, which has opened up a whole nother level of the way that we look at our world. So there's huge gratitude to them. And out of that first 34 days, we birthed Living Truth. We're now into the second lot. And Living Truth, for me, John and I, what we speak about in terms of Living Truth is the fact that it is about the opening of the heart and living from the heart. And there's a lot of people who do that kind of work, but it really is around how do we ground what our spiritual connection is into the world of matter and live that truth. And the only place that we can do that is from an open heart. I mean, you had an alarming I could feel it when you told me about it. I could actually feel that kind of click into place where all of a sudden your heart just opened. And that happened for you on the weekend. It was profound. And what's happened as a result or since then has been incredible. And we weave things like sacred geometry into all of that. And if you're interested in all of that stuff, more will be revealed on that. But it really has been the fact that what it's opened up for me and for us is we've been struggling to find a way to come together, to bring our work together for a long time. We've known that it clicks in because we worked together. And again, thank you to a client that you were working for at that time, because that's how we discovered how we click into place. But we were really struggling to find a way of how do we bring these two worlds together in a way that they actually complement each other and not in competition with each other. And that's part of what the Access Consciousness stuff has given us. I mean, we've had loads and loads of discussions over many years. I remember those first discussions about when you started to bring in, I don't even remember what it was called then, which is now known as the Helix, and that's some of the amazing work that you've been doing with that. But really what Access Consciousness gave us was the lever to unlock our own consciousness. Big shout out to the guys who work in that space. For John and I, it's been quite an interesting journey as to seeing what's been birthed through our own collective consciousness and our own individual consciousness as well. And what's very interesting for me is that it's brought about the ability to co-create as opposed to being in competition with each other. And that's been profound. You can talk a little bit more about your experience of that challenge. We are in the second lot, and before I hand over to John, the second lot that we're focusing on is we're looking at some of the work that's being done by Brené Brown. We probably will bring in some of Joe Dispenza, but all of it is around utilizing the leverage that we get from others to awaken more and more into our own truth. We're not plagiarizing, we're not infringing on copyright. All credits to all of the influences that have assisted us to get to where we are, but we're also coming out with our own original work. When I say that, I don't believe that anything is truly original. I think the spin that we put on it makes it different. And again, it's all couched in natural law and principle, values and beliefs. So your experience of this challenge that we're doing together.
Yeah, just, in terms of opening the heart, I am a very heady person. You can tell by the size of my forehead. It is always in the head, always has been in the head. I overthink. And in terms of Living Truth and the challenge that we've been doing with that is definitely allowed me to drop into my heart, as you said. And it's not just about, I do that from time to time, but in terms of my business and what I offer people is always been out of their head. And I'm trying to do it in an intellectual space. And for me, I'm now starting to function out of the heart in terms of the business as well, which is just, call it business, gifting, healing,
Our
service.
service that we have to offer the world. It's not work
Yeah.
anymore. We're not working. This is the best
No,
fun
it's
we've
not
had
work.
forever. This is
Yeah,
not work.
it's not work. But in terms of time, I think what we must do in our next session is we can show them, give them how we drop into the heart in terms of that process and share that and maybe issue the challenge there to them as well.
Sacred geometry, here we come. My favorite thing ever. So the point of this, and we're probably going to release this in Spotify and YouTube in 2 episodes because it is quite long. The point of this is, and we probably will put this ending on both, is to, you want to get involved. You really want to get involved. You want to get engaged in running your own 100-day challenges. And John's put together, we're putting a package together for you. The bulk of the work sits in 150 days of the 100-day challenge. But if you don't get the front end right, you're going to have problems through your 100-day challenge. So that's, I'll never forget when you sent me your planning sheet for me to do a 100. I don't even remember what the 100-day challenge was about at the time. And you can gather from me, I'm not the greatest planner on the planet. But there's also, you explained something to me the other day, was that when I'm coming from a field of expertise that I already have, the 100-day challenge is actually quite easy. That planning phase, that initial competence is already there. That planning phase is not as critical as if you're trying something brand new like you did with the fishing. So, it depends a little bit on the challenge that you choose.
And also for the planning, it is about preparing. It's about collecting the resources.
Yeah.
You don't want to run out of the resources. I broke 3 rods in my first 30 days. That's an expensive hobby. You don't want to run out of the resources in your process and have to delay or stop, because then you get in that stop-start momentum and you're going to mess yourself up. So you do need contingencies, have the resources, have the contingencies in case something goes wrong.
And then there are also very effective ways of being able to pick up on a challenge that aren't expensive either. I mean, this is not costing us a lot of money to do this kind of work at all anyway. So, the kinds of tips and hints that we can give you around selecting your challenge, that will form part of that workshop. We're not going to give all our trade secrets away today. No. You want to become part of the 100-day challenge. But I think the vision, can you imagine the impact and the difference just for the first 100 people impacting on their own lives and the lives of others in a 100-day challenge? This is how we start to get the Fibonacci cycles of change that we talk about. 100 salesmen in your organization doing a 100-day challenge. And it's not about giving them massive big rewards and trophies and all the rest of that stuff. That's old news, old stuff. It's around the mastery. We've got skills deficits in this country that are frightening, with all the people who've left the country, with the manner in which the education system has crumbled. Starting to do things like this with a 100-day challenge becomes a mechanism that allows massive change to happen and transformation to happen in 150 days. So what are you waiting for? John has put up on his website, I've got the link on mine. So for the purpose stuff, it's my website. At the moment, still angelajames.co.za. John has put up incredible... Pardon? What?
Start there. With a
start there. Yeah, your starting point is the purpose stuff. And then, but to go and read and find out information, then you need to go there. No, that way. The cameras are mirrored. Very funny. But then go and have a look at what John's put up about on his Facebook page, as well as on his mindmattamatters.com website. Go and read up about what the 100-day challenges are about. And then, sign up. Our goal, I think, is 100 people to sign up, the initial 100. They won't all sign up at once, but yeah, get involved. It's a process. John's expertise, I'll be kind of lagging behind because when we start dealing with 100 people, John can't deal with them all himself. So we are going to be quite intrigued and interested to see how that actually unfolds. And we've got another 100-day challenge that we put out the other day as well, which we're still talking about as to how we're going to run it. And that's 100, 10, 15, 20-minute Living Truth episodes over a 100-day period. So we're not stacking stuff on top of us and making our life interesting at all. So yeah, www.angelajames.co.za. There is a specific, tab at the top on my webpage, I'm Powered Purpose. Go and find out about it there. And then it links you directly to John's website, mindmothermatters.com, for you to find out more about the 100-day challenge. And even if you get to kind of being in your purpose space and not quite ready to do a 100-day challenge, that's also okay. You know where to find us. We're not going anywhere. So, yep, I think that about wraps it up today. What do you think?
Yep, sounds good.
What else do you want to say in closing?
Tim,
Okay.
take up the challenge. It's going to, but put on your seatbelt, hold on to your hat, because it's a ride. And it's not just about, exploring the skills, the self-belief, the worth,
All of that stuff. The whole iceberg.
all of that stuff that
Whole
comes
iceberg.
out of that is just
Amazing.
you can't explain to people. A 100-day challenge will challenge you on every level of your being.
Absolutely.
Fishing, I want to say to you, fishing to me is now a spiritual experience because of that 100-day challenge. I don't regard it as a sport, as a pastime. I go fishing when I want to connect with the spirit.
So when John gets stuck, but also it's so funny the other day, John goes, I don't know, I'm spinning around into it because I said to him, go fishing. He says to me, why? I said, because every time you come back from fishing, you've had a spiritual insight. And it's the truth, eh? Every time you do. So, it's
a spiritual experience for me.
Absolutely. And that's living truth. We're bringing spirit into matter in all we are and all we do.
Yeah. So pick a challenge that's going to be a spiritual experience for you from now on, because it will.
You might not think so when you might not think so when you start out, but certainly by the time that you're finished, you will have that experience. So and just a shout out for those who are watching right now. I am still in my challenge of 100 readings in 100 days. Not telling you where I am, or I'm in the last, we didn't talk about the 40 days, but that's, people won't want to know the last 40 days yet, and then specifically the last 10 days. I am kind of almost halfway through my last 40 days of the challenge, and some interesting things starting to happen and some shifts starting to take place. So very interesting. So don't forget, I'm still in that space, 100 readings in 100 days. And we can have another catch up when I've finished that and talk a little bit about some of the learnings that I got out of that challenge too.
Cool. That'll be good.
So join us. It's a wild ride. Fasten your seatbelts and get onto this roller coaster ride with us, because it's just amazing. And in fact, that's a very good analogy of a 100-day challenge, is when you get in trepidation and fear of getting onto the roller coaster. But when you get off, gee whiz, has it been an amazing ride. So
sure has.
To my mother, my brother from another mother, my incredible colleague that I'm just so grateful to working with, amazing stuff that he comes up with. Very grateful, very honored to be on this path and journey with you.
Been fun. Thank you for your input as well. Your insights, contributions also been very valuable to me. So thank you. You set the bar very high.
Thank you. So we'll catch you on the flip side of the 100-day challenge. God bless, lots of love and light, and live your truth.
Peace.
Thank you for tuning into Living Truth. Our goal is to carry a message of purpose and meaning to those who are seeking to be, do, and have a full, joyous, happy, and abundant life. If you know of any dreamers, truth seekers, visionaries, light workers, and wisdom keepers who would benefit from our content, please feel free to share our material with them. We would appreciate your time in leaving us a 5-star review on this channel, and visit us on www.angelajames.co.za and John Asher on www.mindmattermatters.com.